Hello dear students, I hope you are all fine and in good health. I had discussed note making in my previous class. I will be discussing note making in this class also, and in this audio presentation also I will be talking at length related with note making. So the first important segment that I want to discuss is about note making. What note making is all about, what exactly is being defined as note making. So dear students, first and foremost you all should remember that note making is an important study skill. Sometimes our study material is rather large. It is difficult to remember large chunks of information. So it is advisable to note down the main points of the material or passage. Now there lies the art of note making, because sometimes we have to read a lot of chapters from a book. We have to go through large chunks of information. Sometimes we have to note down a lot of dictations. Sometimes we had to go through some articles and some magazines also. Sometimes we had to read a lot of reference books also. So if we know the art of note making, we can exactly jot down the important points related to all the materials that we generally take for our academic research, and it becomes very easy for us to remember many informations also. If we only write down the important points, there lies the main beauty of note making. These points can be further divided into subsections and subsections. Subsections can also be known as supporting points, and subsections is also known as supporting points. That means there is a further breakup in that. That means the subpoints can be further divided into subsections or subpoints. Using abbreviations and symbols makes note making more compact and precise. And most important thing, abbreviations and symbols plays a very important role, because abbreviations and symbols ultimately make it compact and also make it more precise. Now that is the intro part. Now I am moving on to the next one, characteristics of good note making. Now what are the characteristics of good note making? The first and foremost, notes should be short. It should be very brief, short and crispy. Remember it, dear students. Identify the main points. You are being advised to identify the main points. In order to identify the main points, you have to go through the note making passage maybe twice or thrice. Then only you will be able to grasp the main idea of the passage. Notes must be written in note form. Remember, dear students, it is advisable that notes must be written in note form. Next point, note making must be written in phrases and not in sentences. Dear students, I hope you remember in my previous live class that I had conducted on Saturday, there I had discussed about this at length. When you will be writing down or when you will be solving the summary, at that time you must write in complete sentences. But remember, when you will be doing note making, it should be written in phrases but not in sentences. Next one, number 5, most important information. Informations are divided logically and subdivided by the use of figures or letters. Numbering, use of figures or letters are very important in case of note making, because informations are divided logically and subdivided also by the use of figures or letters. Because figures and letters, these things are very important related with the technical part of note making, related with the format of note making. Now dear students, as you can see, I am moving on to the third segment of my discussion, and as you all can see here it is written, this is the most important segment. It is techniques or methods of note making. So what are the techniques or methods we should follow in case of note making? Actually there are two techniques. First technique or method, second one is decimal system. First one is a very generalized one, and the second one is you have to use decimal points. That is something, there is the difference. Okay, now let us first focus on the first technique or method. Now main sections can be highlighted by 1, 2 and 3. Okay, by the numerical 1, 2 and 3 in the first technique. Subsections can be highlighted by Roman 1, Roman 2 and Roman 3. And subsections can be highlighted by alphabetical A, B and C, etc. So this is something you all should remember, that the main sections can be highlighted, or the main points. Main sections, I am talking about the main points. They can be highlighted by the numerical words like 1, 2 and 3. Subpoints or subsections can be highlighted by Roman 1, Roman 2 and Roman 3. Subsections can be highlighted by A, B and C. Now let us proceed towards the second technique. So the second technique is decimal system, as I told you all. So here the main sections can be highlighted by the numerical 1, 2 and 3. That means the main section part in the first technique as well as in the decimal system in this second technique, it is absolutely the same. But the changes will come in the second point, when we will be discussing about how to proceed related with the subsections. Now if I scroll up, you will find that in the first technique, in subsections are highlighted by Roman 1, Roman 2 and Roman 3. But now if you see this one, here subsections are highlighted by point wise. Okay, decimal points are used like 1.1, 1.2 and 1.3. Now if I scroll up once again, if there is a further breakdown of the sub points, that we can say sub points or subsections. In the first technique, the sub points or the subsections are highlighted by alphabetical A, B and C. Now if I scroll down, as you can see here, the subsections can be highlighted by 1.1.1, 1.1.2 and 1.1.3. Okay. So this is the difference between the general technique and the decimal system. Now another important thing that you have to remember, without that note making is practically incomplete. That is what we can say, abbreviations and symbols. Now abbreviations and symbols are freely used. Okay, in case of note making, abbreviations and symbols are freely used. But remember one thing, later when you will be selecting the abbreviations and symbols, as far as board criteria is concerned, select only 4. Okay, abbreviations and symbols, only 4. But remember, I had also discussed it in my Saturday class, that in the main note making structure or in the main note making format, you can use multiple abbreviations and symbols, and you can underline all those abbreviations and symbols with pencil. Select only 4 out of all those abbreviations and symbols, because you don't have to write all the abbreviations and symbols. It will be a wastage of time. Remember it, dear students. Okay, so only select 4 abbreviations and symbols in a box. You have to write this list of abbreviations and symbols, only write 4, and then after writing it, you just close the box with a pencil. That will be enough. But in the main note making structure, in the main note making format, you can use multiple abbreviations and symbols. Next one, article, prepositions and conjunctions are omitted. These things are related with the grammatical knowledge, something that you should all know, that which things are to be omitted. Articles, prepositions and conjunctions totally are to be omitted. And most importantly, number 6, notes must make sense when they are read again. Now important thing is that whatever you are writing or whatever you are solving, It should be understandable and it should be acceptable and it should have a coordination or it should have a relation with the prescribed unseen passage. So dear students, I am clarifying this point once again. Notes must make sense when they are read again. That means whatever you are writing, okay, it should have a proper sense. Now another important thing, that techniques or methods of writing a summary. Now what are the things that you should know about a summary? In my Saturday class previous week, I haven't discussed about the summary. Now here I am discussing with you all something about the summary. At least 5 points you have to remember. First important thing, understanding important ideas. This is applicable when you are solving the note making format also. The same thing is applicable here also. While you are jotting down or writing the summary, okay, the important ideas are to be assembled and you have to understand the important ideas or the important points related with the passage. Unless and until you don't understand it, neither you can do the note making format nor you can do the summary. So first and foremost, the important ideas are to be clear. You have to be very clear, you have to be totally clear regarding the important ideas and writing them down. I told you dear students in my previous class that you can make a rough draft, okay. So a rough draft is very important. From that rough draft, finally you can in fresh way you can jot down the summary, or in case of note making format also, rough draft is very important. As I told you in my previous Saturday class, directly don't solve anything. First you make a rough draft and after that you make it fresh. Avoid examples, explanations and repetitions. Don't repeat anything in a summary, because normally in summary you have to write within 80 to 100 words. 80 to 100 words you have to write the summary. So it is better not to repeat the same thing again and again. Explanation, examples not needed. Okay, plainly you write down the summary, but remember the summary should have a sort of relationship with the note making format. That means what I am trying to say, that the summary that you are writing and the note making format, there should be a good coordination between those two things, okay, or those two aspects. And remember, examples, explanations and repetitions not needed. And what you avoid in case of note making, the thing that you have to write in case of summary. Remember I told you, full sentences or complete sentences are to be avoided in case of note making, and you have to write in points. In case of summary, see, you have to write in full sentences. The summary must be written in full sentences, and most importantly, it must contain all the main ideas. Not only that, it must contain all the main ideas. And remember another important thing, be precise in expression. You have to be compact, you have to be precise in your expression. Whatever you are expressing, either it is note making or summary, you have to be precise in your expression. So that is all dear students in this audio presentation. Kindly go through this audio presentation, and if there is any doubt, let me know about it. Thank you students, thank you all.